Hello world, and welcome to Breaking the Boxes for Week 3 of the NFL season. Apologies for the delay here on Tuesday. Kiddo had off for Yom Kippur on Monday, so you get 2 extra games because the Monday night doubleheader is included in our analysis today. As always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Gridiron Gamble channel here on YouTube. Ring that bell to get notifications whenever we put a video live, including the release show, the card show on Thursday nights into Friday morning. Also follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Gamble. And for those listening, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review to the podcast on your podcatcher of choice. 4-1 for the collective this week. Nice bounce back. Unfortunately, we lost our 4th and final Survivor entry in the first game we're going to look at today, which was Texans 37, Jaguars 17, as I get my handwriting on point here. The Texans win outright as touchdown plus underdogs. The over comes in at 43.5 as the closer. Let's get into this game. By net yards per play, a 0.6 advantage for the Texans. This is indicative of a small victory, but the story is really going to come down here in the turnovers department, where it is 2 for Jacksonville, 0 for Houston, and then a defensive special teams touchdown in favor of the Texans. And those interceptions came in not great positions for the Jaguars, at least one of them. That was on Houston's 30 as they're driving here in the third quarter. The fumble, or the interception, was at midfield. You've got some other snafus here for the Jaguars, a blocked field goal. There was also a big missed field goal as well. Here it is, wide right from Brandon McManus. But the 2 most impactful plays of the game were an explosive from C.J. Stroud to Tank Dell, 68 yards for the touchdown, and then the aforementioned special teams touchdown where something called Beck, one of, I believe, 7 fullbacks rostered in the NFL, rumbled, did not stumble or fumble, en route to an 85-yard touchdown where the kick was squibbed and he was one of the up men and he picked it up and just happened to score. Maybe coach needs to give him the rock a little bit more. High leverage situations. Texans outperform the Jags in this department as well. The Jags fail to convert their only 4th down attempt, which you'll find down here. That is fourth quarter, not 4th down. Here's 4th down. Is a incomplete pass from Trevor Lawrence. And I gotta say, the biggest story out of this game for me is this right here. 0.49 EPA per play, 58 success rate for Texans passing the ball. C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, negative EPA per play, albeit 0.01, and a 50% success rate throwing the ball. C.J. Stroud on the road, divisional matchup, missing half of his offensive line, gets it done. Lawrence at home, Texans missing half of their secondary. Jags touchdown favorites. C.J. Stroud straight up outplayed Trevor Lawrence in this game. And if they're going to continue to hang big numbers for Houston, they're going to continue to catch the eye of the collective. Chargers 28. See if my handwriting can improve. Vikings 24. Chargers get the cover in this game. This fell all the way to Bolts even money by kickoff. The under comes here at 52.5. Maybe I'll just put the down arrow because my handwriting is so atrocious, and I'll circle the team that gets the cover. Story of this game is just Justin Herbert crushing. 1.3 net yards per play advantage for the Chargers in this game. 9.1 yards per pass. My guy Justin Herbert was out there flinging the rock. 0.4 EPA per play. Vikings struggled, and once again, turnovers are a big story here. 2 turnovers for the Vikings, and very unfortunate for them that they come in 3 of the 4 failed red zone attempts. Of course, the one at the end of the game here in the fourth quarter. The TJ Hawkinson interception, and then the TJ Hawkinson fumble also occurs in the red zone, recovered by the Chargers. And then the Chargers get one big explosive play here too. Mike Williams, where is it? There it is, the 49-yard touchdown from Keenan Allen. Actually, it was on that wide receiver pass. The Vikings do get two explosive plays, one to KJ Osborne and one to Justin Jefferson. But it is not enough, as the Vikings only could muster 0.03 EPA per play passing the ball and had a success rate of 47%. That's that Russell Wilson, decent EPA per play. I guess it was positive. It wasn't great, but below 50% success rate. Neither team very good on high leverage downs. Vikings were actually able to convert 2 of their 3 fourth down attempts, but the story of the game were these 2 massive turnovers in these 2 red zone opportunities, while the Chargers were perfect 2 of 2 in the red zone. Moving forward, Vikings, they're going to be able to score. I know this total crept up over 50, and depending on the number, I don't know if the number fluctuated any differently from this, if anybody cashed a winner on the totals on the over here. But the Vikings are going to be able to score, and it looks like they're going to allow their opponents to score. So we should be looking at overs. This isn't helpful for us in the contest, but for those of you betting out there, we should be looking at overs when the Minnesota Vikings are involved. The Chargers, nice bounce back. 2 straight great performances by Herbert, but they were against 2 bad defenses. Let's see them do it against a more stout defensive unit. Ravens lose here. Colts 22. I'll do the circle. Ravens 19. The under does come in here. 44 was the closing number. Indy win as plus 7.5 dogs. This was as high as 8. And this was an ugly one all around. The Colts win despite only having 3.9 yards per play. So this is 0.12 in favor of Baltimore. So immediately alarm bells should be ringing. How did they get this done? Indy, that is, at such a big deficit. Once again, can't turn the ball over in pro football. It's 2 turnovers from the Ravens, 0 from Gardner Minshew, even though he was terrible in this game. Negative 0.17 EPA per play. He at least did not turn the ball over. And here they are, the 2 most impactful plays of the game. Lamar fumble. One of them was in the shadow of their own goalpost at the Baltimore 17. The other, actually it was Kenyon Drake. Excuse me. Sorry, Lamar. This was while they were driving, entering the red zone at Indy's 22-yard line. And those are killers. They just are. Even a team as good as Baltimore. They weren't great in this game. Those injuries are really starting to mount up when it comes to pass catching and protection. Negative 0.21 EPA per play. Lamar kind of realized that he had to ball out a little bit to get this done. So that's why I don't know if you'll see any rushing numbers here. There we go. 186. A lot of that was Lamar. He was over 100 yards rushing. Ravens were perfect, 2 of 2 in the red zone. The Colts did fail on 1 attempt. Both teams failed on their sole 4th down attempt. This big one right here, Zach Moss trying to salt the game away. Trying to get a big conversion in overtime, was unable to get it. The Colts are not good with Gardner Minshew. This was a fortuitous game where the Ravens gave them the ball. A hurt Ravens team gave them the ball. But Gardner Minshew is not as good at quarterback as Anthony Richardson is. I think I can say that plainly right now. And as for the Ravens, they're going to have to get healthy quick because this is getting ugly, and they're not going to be playing competition as bad as the Colts with Gardner Minshew. Cowboys lose to the Cardinals. Cardinals 28, Cowboys 16. So, of course, the Cardinals cover that big number. It was as high as 13.5. Came down to 11 by game time. How about an equal sign? Because the closing total I'm saying is 44, which is right on the number. This is why it's so important to get your bets in early if you have a lean, or at least on the best side of whatever number. If you're wanting it to fall, wait, or if you like it right away, grab it. We'll see that in the next game as well, Packers Saints. How important it is to get on the right side of the number. This was an ass kicking. +2 in net yards per play for the Cardinals. That is indicative of the double-digit victory that they earned at home against Dallas in this game. Only one turnover. Hey, the team that's losing the turnover battle, it's a trend here. They're losing the game outright, and it is the most impactful play of the game into the end zone. It was 3rd and 6, fourth quarter, gotta have it situation. Dak Prescott's pass is intercepted. Cowboys pitiful in the red zone, 1 of 5. Can't do it, even against a team as bad as Arizona. And Arizona was just playing bully ball. 222 rushing yards. That just can't happen when you're a defense supposedly as stout as the Cowboys. Both teams pretty good on third downs, 50% or better. If you look at Dallas, Dallas failing to convert their 1 4th down attempt, and you're always going to see it. These fourth downs that, whether they're converted or not converted, they're going to end up in this biggest plays by EPA. And of course, that failed conversion was one of the largest plays of the game. Yeah, man, look at all this green from Arizona. I circuited it last week when they played the Giants and kind of poo-pooed the Giants as being one of the reasons. But then the Cardinals go out and do it against the Cowboys. Admittedly a sleepy spot. They lose their all-world cornerback to a season-ending injury during the week. You know, sleepy, fake road game. Are we going to take this serious? I'm not buying all the way in on the Cardinals, but they've been frisky for 3 weeks now, so I don't think we could hate on them entirely. As for the Cowboys, not having Diggs is going to impact their defense. That's for sure. But it's not always going to look this bad. They are laying a big number again this week, 7-point favorites against the New England Patriots. Let's see how they bounce back after getting their teeth kicked in by Arizona. Got to get the best of the number, boys and girls. Packers 18, Saints 17. If you were Brett and got this at plus money, you got the cover. If you like the Packers and you waited and you, I guess, got plus money because of all the injury reports that came out on Sunday, including Jair Alexander, who was a surprise scratch, you covered in this game. That's why it's so important to get the best of the number. Under 41.5, a very ugly affair. Even when Derek Carr was in there for New Orleans, he, of course, leaves this game with a shoulder injury. Jameis Winston goes in, has a pretty similar yards per attempt, did have a lower EPA per play and lower success rate, but it wasn't pretty even when Derek Carr was in there. 4.8 to 4.2. Just really pitiful offense. I guess good defense. A slight advantage of 0.6 in favor of the Packers. The Packers, the first game that we'll cover that had a negative turnover differential and ended up winning the game. Looking for it here. It was the Wilson fumble that was... no, excuse me. This wasn't the turnover. This was the goofy pass back play on a 4th down. That's right. This was the failed 4th down conversion, one of 2 failed 4th down conversions for Green Bay, where they ran a pass back play and Jordan Love slipped and tried to throw it and was unsuccessful. I think it was decent design, but not the best pass back, and then not great footing for our guy, Jordan Love. I'm not seeing the fumble here, but yeah, Saints could only get that many points, and that was including the Rashid Shaheed special teams touchdown. So a really troubling offensive performance, 4 of 14 on third downs. Packers a little better, creeping up towards that 50% conversion rate here, but these unsuccessful 4th downs definitely crept in here. The one successful one, though, was that 1-yard sneak touchdown for Jordan Love, a little bit of a tush-push. Where do we go from here? The Packers, man, they're so confounding because their entire roster continues to be hurt, yet they eke out, well, they beat a really bad team week 1 against the Bears. They kind of give a game away against the Falcons by not being able to get one damn first down in the 4th quarter. And then they crawl back on their hands and knees in this game against a Saints team that didn't have their starting quarterback. Home opener for Green Bay. I'm not inspired by any of these teams, honestly. Love continues to have a very poor success rate of 0.46. He finally came down to earth in terms of EPA per play here at 0.07. Until they get healthy, I'm really not inspired by what I'm seeing out of this Packers team because of their offense. And then the Saints, we never really liked the good defense, bad offense team. And what is this offense going to look like with Jameis Winston? I know Brett is certainly intrigued, but I'm a bit worried what we'll see out of New Orleans. Falcons, passing matters. Mo is smiling somewhere because it was Lions 20, Falcons 6. Lions cover as 3.5-point favorites at home. That number was pretty much painted across the board across the week, flying under the 47-point total in this game. And before I even get to net yards per play, which the Lions absolutely dominated here, doubling them up by 2.8. Look at all the purple from both of these teams. Just pitiful offense from both Atlanta and Detroit. Even in terms of turnovers here, Desmond Ridder sack fumble in the shadow of his own goalpost. Hutchinson gets the sack and the fumble recovery. Looking for the Goff interception. Here it is. Jesse Bates, I guess safeties matter. He's been pretty incredible in his move from Cincinnati to Atlanta in that secondary. Lions, you'll see this red zone 1 of 4, kind of fake. They kneeled it out at the end in the red zone, so that's one possession that really doesn't count. And then another one of them was a 3rd and long where they got some chunk yards when Atlanta was playing soft coverage, and it got them right into the end zone, where they then, the red zone, where they then attempted a field goal. So that's kind of a fake 1 of 4. But this is not fake. This 4 of 14, this 0 of 1, just terrible offense from both of these teams. Falcons defense is good. Give them credit. They kept the Lions in check. I want to give some love there. But the Falcons offense, you just gotta be able to throw the ball. 38 success rate, negative 0.26 EPA per play. I tried to get myself to believe that maybe an exotic Arthur Smith riding offense could do some stuff, get some stuff done in this spot against a good team. It didn't. So maybe I really have to temper my expectations, lean on my priors a little bit more about the Falcons like Mo did. Mo stuck to his priors. Hat tip to him. We got the cover on the card. Lions, I'm not too worried. Not too worried. They need to get healthy on the offensive line. They were missing 2 key pieces in this game. Once they get back, I'm a little bit less worried about Goff, because once Goff is protected, we know he's a completely different player, and they won't be playing defenses as good as the Falcons every week. So I'm not too concerned about Detroit. Seattle gets the win at home against Carolina here, 37-27 win and the cover, even though Panthers' steam did come in on Sunday, dropped this all the way to 4.5. 43 was the closing total, not even close, with 64 points scored in this game. Dalton, some good garbage time. Geno and the Seahawks, very good. Both backs, very good. This was a very fair and earned victory by the Seahawks, +1 in net yards per play. They did have the only turnover in this contest. Geno Smith interception right here, intended for Jackson Smith in Jigba, was in the shadow of their own goalposts. That's never good. Even though it was 3rd and 16, you still can't push it in like that. Geno, which is a bit uncharacteristic for him. He's while aggressive, his CPOE being so high shows that he's so accurate. So I guess some of his aggression is allowed because of his heightened accuracy. A big explosive here for DJ Chark, that 47-yard touchdown. It was a weird play, too, if I recall. The ball was kind of tipped. So, obviously, you're not going to expect that as often out of this Carolina offense, which is bereft of talent. And you can see it here. 1.14 EPA per play, but that 44% success rate, that's telltale of a big play affecting this, whereas moving the chains and getting consistent first downs really wasn't part of the story for Carolina. But then you look over here, 10 of 19. They move the chains plenty. Seahawks at high leverage, 3 of 13. No good. They did convert their only 4th down attempt, for those of you watching. Whereas the Carolina Panthers failed to convert this 4th and 7 here. In the fourth quarter, it was a gotta have it play. Dalton didn't get rid of the ball. Sack. Game is over. Carolina seemed frisky with Dalton in there. I'll give them that. A lot of it came in garbage time. A lot of it wasn't inspiring. I'm still worried about these Panthers pass catchers. Seahawks defense isn't great, so the opportunities that were presented to them, I don't think will be consistently presented to them throughout the season. It was good to see the Hawks offense bounce back. It was good to see Charbonnet involved in both. I think he was both the rushing and the passing attack as well, because we know how good these Seattle weapons are. Seattle, bad defense, explosive offense, should be a dead over team. That came back here, even though this total was so low at 43. So I think Seattle, we should be looking for a lot of over spots in terms of betting, and I guess spots where they're catching a decent amount of points or smaller favorites at home against offenses that can't move the ball, because the Hawks defense is bad enough where even a team like Carolina is going to be able to move the ball in certain spots. Titans, Browns, another member of the collective was dead right this weekend. There was a lot of that, and the Browns absolutely obliterate Tennessee 27-3. Mo, that was Brett, by the way, who loved the Browns. Mo loved alternate unders here. The total was 38. Alternate unders would have come in, maybe not too aggressively, but it would have come in nonetheless. 3 net yards per play in favor of Cleveland. You see all the purple here for Tennessee, so that's no surprise. Cleveland did have the only turnover in the game, but it just doesn't matter when you're dominated like this. 23 first downs to 6. 2 of 12 on third down. Tennessee just had no chance. The 0 of 2 in the red zone. 2 of perfect in the red zone by the Browns. This was just a complete dismantling of Tennessee by Cleveland. I will say the one positive I'll point out for Tennessee here, and we saw this last week against the Chargers as well. When they get down, they find a way to make an explosive play. Chris Moore, let me just control this so you can see it. Chris Moore, a 33-yard play. A big pass interference here. And you might be saying to yourself, pass interference, is that predictive? Tennessee knows they have to get the ball downfield if they're trailing. I'll give them that. We'll get to my pitiful Jets in a bit, who did not get the ball downfield. Zach Wilson, terrified of throwing the ball. When you are trailing, when you are dogs of more than a field goal, you got to take chances. And I'm happy to see at least Tennessee is taking some chances here. Bad offensive line, though. Bad offense in general. And the Browns just continue to be incredibly elite on defense. They are going to suffocate bad offenses like they did in this game. You don't need Deshaun to play amazing in these scenarios, but was this a coming out party? 0.38 EPA per play for Deshaun Watson. The fumble, by the way, Elijah Moore, one of the softest you'll ever see. Just took the ball from his hands. Got to clean that up. Not too surprising from someone so slight as Elijah, but it was close to the sideline. Either get out of bounds or hold on to the ball. Can't be doing that. Steelers, Raiders, this was the collective pick on the card, and the Steelers win outright as road dogs on Sunday Night Football, 23-18. This got as high as +3. Steam got its teeth kicked in. 44 was this closing total. Comes just under. You under ticket holders were sweating bullets there at the end as the Raiders tried to get this game. I guess the field goal was good for you, maybe. Puzzling field goal attempt twice. Once was thwarted because of leverage, Brett's favorite rule in the rule book. They got the ball back, and instead of trying to score, they went down. They got as close as you could to the end zone without scoring and kicked a field goal. That was the only failed red zone attempt by the Raiders in this game, but it was a huge one. Small advantage for the Steelers in terms of net yards per play, 0.2. But once again, Jimmy G, when he's not clean, 2 weeks in a row, 3 turnovers to 0. We've got the interception here. We've got the interception here. Just no bueno. Bailed out by Devontae Adams on that 4th and 1. I shouldn't say bailed out. This was a very aggressive play call. Shouts to Josh McDaniels. You might not know your field goal, go for it, analytics as well as you should, but I'm glad you went for it in this scenario, and I'm glad you kind of went for the jugular when you have a player as good as Devontae. Made an excellent play on the ball. Good for Jimmy G for letting it go. Big touchdown here. Obviously, the huge play of the game was that Calvin Austin touchdown, 72 yards. That was after the Raiders took the lead, so Steelers got a bit of a calming force, tied the game early on. High leverage, Oakland 4 of 13 on third down. Steelers really no better. Neither team really good in those situations. Raiders 1 of 2 on fourth down, mirroring their red zone efficiency. Mo made this point on Beat the Closing Number over on the Lines YouTube page. You should subscribe to that channel as well. Steelers would have liked to see them get right better here. 44% success rates passing the ball, 38 overall on offense. You got that big play, but really didn't bounce back against Las Vegas as you should. So some of the preseason love gushing about Pittsburgh may not come to fruition this season. They do have a good defense, so we have to keep that in mind. But in situation, this is the our buddy Aaron from the Gridiron Gamble Discord, which you can join by going to bit.ly/DiscordMoose. The Steelers cap seems to be pretty simple. Can the other team get to 30? If so, click them. If they can't get to 30, then maybe click the Steelers. As for the Raiders, they stink. We knew they stunk. Week 1, they played a team maybe worse than them in the Denver Broncos, who just got absolutely smacked. We'll get to them soon. And then they get trounced by Buffalo and beat at home by a Steelers team that's not very impressive. So Vegas, a bottom 5 team, as expected from the collective. Eagles 25, Bucs 11. The first of 2 Monday Night Football games. The Bucs come back to earth as they fail to cover as 5-point home dogs. This clicked up to 6 on game day. This did go under the total of 44. Another squeaky bum one at the end there as the Eagles were threatening, but the Bucs don't use any of their timeouts. Todd Bowles, as predicted, just staring off into space. Headed off to week 4, not really worrying about the outcome of this game. Dominant performance by Philadelphia, 6.1 to 4. That's 2.1. That's indicative of the double-digit victory that they got. Both teams sloppy with the ball. Jalen Hurts, not a great start to the season. We've got this interception intended for Swift. It was high, not a good throw. We had a interception from Baker intended for Godwin. Another one where it was getting into long territory, but when you're so close to your own goal line, I guess they were at the 37, so it wasn't too bad, but just Baker trying to force it in there. And then Jalen Hurts. This was a good play by Delaney. Delaney tracked it quite well from the safety position, but I don't know, Jalen, man. The 3 straight uninspiring games. It helps that he plays on the Philadelphia Eagles, perhaps the best roster in football, but reverting back to the guy we saw in 2021 that is very hot and cold throwing the football, obviously elite running the ball, 201 yards on the ground, combination of Hurts himself, Swift, and Gainwell. I don't know how you stop this running game when they have so much talent on the offensive line and so much talent running the ball. They actually had a higher EPA per play running the ball than they did passing the ball. That is quite rare. Baker Mayfield. Yuck. Negative EPA per play. Buccaneers couldn't get anything going on the ground, though they kept trying. Negative 0.42 EPA per play. The tush push Kings get 2 of 3 on high leverage here on fourth downs. Eagles get right against a very bad team. Red zone I should bring up as well. These were some of the turnovers from Jalen Hurts, and just also an inability to get the ball in. Had A.J. Brown on a slant, I believe in the fourth quarter, overcooked it. Yeah, Jalen Hurts, I'm quite bearish on, but the Eagles are just so good that it might not matter. We've got a little Brock Purdy action going here from Philadelphia, and then Tampa Bay back to earth. They're a decent team with a pretty good defense, an offense that can take advantage of teams that can't generate pressure. But as we know, with this Eagles defensive front, they certainly can generate a bit of pressure. Mollywhopping time. Dolphins 70. That's right, 7-0. Broncos 20. Dolphins, of course, get the cover. I don't know. I don't care what number you had. Alternate ladder up to whatever these books allowed. That came home. Also, whatever total you got, that came in over as well. I see a closing number of 47.5. Look at this. 4 net yards per play better than Miami Dolphins. They were at 10.2 net yards per play on 71 plays run. 726 yards of offense. Look at Dolphins explosive play. Dolphins explosive play. Dolphins explosive play. Dolphins explosive play. Dolphins. That was a 19-yard touchdown. 20-yard touchdown. Just dominant offense. Add in 3 turnovers from Denver. Dolphins completely clean. Never turned the ball over. Just absolutely smacked this team. Broncos completely embarrassed. A bad team. I don't know where they go from here, honestly. The offense had played pretty decent the first 2 weeks. Did not play decent here between those turnovers and lack of efficiency. Negative 0.26 EPA per play. For Russ on dropbacks, nothing doing running the ball. 15% success rate. They got to go back to the drawing board. It's gonna get easier than playing the Dolphins on the road. That's for sure. It gets easier immediately with them playing the Bears this week, but the Broncos are not a good football team, and the Dolphins are one of the best teams in the league, maybe the best team in the league. Can't wait to see them play the Buffalo Bills this week. Do I have to talk about this game? Patriots 15, Jets 10. Pats get the cover as road favorites. This goes under. It got as low as 35.5. Didn't matter. Still goes under. The Jets had a chance to win this game with a Hail Mary that maybe Randall Cobb catches 5-6 years ago, but he definitely did not in this game. Putrid 2.8 yards per play for the Jets in this contest. 2.4 advantage in favor of New England. But you don't really see it in the box in the scoring because they were so poor in, wait a minute, not even the red zone. The Patriots did not take one snap in the red zone. They fizzled every single time they approached, partially because of the Jets defense, partially because the Pats played a bit nitty because they knew Zach Wilson was the quarterback of the Jets. And while Zach Wilson did not turn over the ball once in this game, the Jets were 2 of 14 on third down in high leverage situations because Zach Wilson was just terrified of throwing the football in this game. No explosive plays in this game. Obviously, the Farrell Brown 58-yard touchdown. I should retract that immediately. But outside of that, I mean, look at this. Negative 3.6 EPA per play was the next largest play in this game. A missed field goal. Just an ugly football game. The Patriots knew that they could play shell coverage, dare Zach Wilson to throw. He never did throw. He just held on to the ball, took sacks, checked down. Didn't matter if it was fourth in the game. Fourth in the game. Where is it? Right here. Fourth in the game. 4th and 10. Fourth quarter. Need to have it. This is before the Hail Mary attempt. Didn't know they were going to get the ball back. 2-yard play to Tyler Conklin. Throws it at the line of scrimmage. 4th and 10 for the game. It's pitiful. I tried to defend Zach because of his lack of turnovers. I thought maybe people weren't open, but the all-22 on Monday told a different story. People were open, at least NFL open, and Zach Wilson was just flatly afraid to throw the ball. The Bills want to make Brett Shout 37-3 in Washington. This does come under 44 because Washington can't get any offense going. Shouts to Mo. Bills beating up on bad teams. That's a thing that happened in this game. 1.4 in favor of the Bills in net yards per play. I mean, this is it right here. Five turnovers from the Washington, formerly racial slurs, formerly football team, now commies. 1 from Buffalo. You don't really need to do much there. It doesn't matter that you're 2 of 4. Doesn't matter that you fail and you're only 4th down attempt when the other team turns the ball over 5 times. Interception, biggest play of the game. Fumble, biggest play of the game. Interception, 3rd biggest play of the game. Interception, 4th biggest play of the game. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's nothing to glean here other than turning the ball over with that frequency. It is impossible to win in pro football. Is it one of those games where you throw it out, burn the film, Commanders come back next week, and maybe Sam Howell can get it going again? I don't know. We've seen just as much bad from Sam Howell as we've seen good this season. So they seem like a very wide range of outcomes team. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're picking any kind of game featuring Washington. And the Bills beat 2 bad teams. Now they get the Dolphins. Dolphins' biggest test so far. I guess I shouldn't throw too much shade on the Chargers week 1. That was a pretty decent test that the Dolphins aced with flying colors. That's come off the 3. I'm intrigued by the Dolphins, but I don't think you can get involved confidently in this game with 2 great teams. Going to be a fun one to watch. Oh, holy vey. Talk about what do we learn? Chiefs 41, Bears 10. And the 10 points the Bears score in this game are off of 2 turnovers from Kansas City that were interceptions from Blaine Gabbert. No, Pat Mahomes didn't get hurt. He doesn't like being called Pat. The game was over. So Mahomes just came out of the game and they let Gabbert go out there and sling the rock a little bit. One of them was definitely tipped and picked. I'm not sure about the other one. The only 10 points from the Bears came off of those 2 plays. Dominance, 2.1 net yards per play in favor of KC. Perfect 5 of 5 in the red zone, including the Travis Kelce touchdown, which led to the Taylor Swift celebration that we've all seen 10 billion times. KC, extremely efficient and high leverage. Chicago Bears, not. Dumpster fire in Chicago. They're the worst team in the league by a wide margin. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Denver might be in a really good spot this week, coming off their embarrassment, to go to Chicago, I believe it is, and just blow the doors off of this Bears team that, if ever there was a week where there was defensive coordinators leaving, your quarterback got, trounced in the media for rightly or wrongly throwing the offensive play calling under the bus. If there was a week where the players in that locker room rallied and said, it's us against the world, forget the coaches, forget the media, forget the fans, forget everything, it's us, the 53 guys in this locker room, this definitely wasn't it. You also had the Fields concussion at the end of the game where he went back in somehow. I don't know how. I mean, when you've got your own player, DJ Moore, just begging you to leave the field because you're so woozy, I don't know how he went back in. Yeah, Chiefs, bad teams, going to get trounced. Chiefs play another very bad team this week in my fighting New York Jets. That's up to 10 in New York. Chiefs are scary good, specifically because their defense is very good. This offense is going to continue to get better as they work the kinks out, as they get their pass catchers involved and more comfortable. So, yeah, Bears are the worst, Chiefs are the best. Shocking results from this game. Finally, a game where I fell asleep at halftime. So this is a pure box score excursion we're going to go on. Bengals 19, Rams 16. Oh, I guess I shouldn't do that. This was a push in most markets, I'm assuming. Bengals were 3. This was a weird one because of the Joe Burrow injury. He did end up suiting up, but did not look good. Minus 11 EPA per play on dropbacks for the Bengals. This flies under the 45.5 closing total in terms of net yards per play. Yuck. 4.2 for the Bengals. Actually dominating performance by the Los Angeles Rams. 1.4. So why did they lose this game? Well, they lose the turnover battle 2-1. One of them was while they were driving at the Cincinnati 22, a pass intended for Puka Nacua. And the other was close to midfield at the 41. Burrow had a bit of an arm punt. Was this? No, this was at the LA 20 on a first down. So a pretty bad interception for Burrow, who in the first half, like I said, looked really bad on that calf. Did not get drive on the ball. Couldn't make plays. Struggled to move in the pocket. Obviously didn't want to break pocket. Yeah, turnovers in red zone. 1 of 4 in the red zone. It's just not going to cut it. Bengals only made one trip, but they made the most of it by scoring. Oh no, 1 of 11 on third down. I mean, that's it. Lose their turnover battle. Fail 3 times in the red zone. 1 of 11 on third down. That's how you lose despite having a dominant net yards per play performance in favor of the Rams. Negative EPA per play throwing the ball. Man, that's confounding. Bengals, we know that their defense is definitely on a learning curve right now with 2 brand new safeties. But we also know that their coordinator is going to likely be one of the next coordinators to be given a head coaching job. So they're going to be well coached. They're going to be well positioned. And this is the first. No, they played the Niners last week, the Rams. But the Rams had success against a bad Seahawks defense and seem to struggle here mightily against a Bengals defense, which we should be giving a little bit of love to because of some of their pieces and because of their coordinator. But this is a piss poor effort at minus 1.6. I guess the Bengals offense was just that bad for the Rams to have had this much of a net yards per play advantage. But again, got to capitalize in the red zone, got to protect the ball, and got to convert third downs. 1 of 11, just not good enough. That's the box score rundown for week 3. We broke the boxes. We made it. How did we do on time? I can't see. 42 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that. Want to get down to 30. 2 minutes a game is tough. I'll try my best. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back on Thursday for the card. Peace out.